my wonderful YouTube following friends. It's HM Family Life with Frank and Angie over here in Salinas. Spent 5 years living in Cuenca on $1,000 a month. I hope you can hear me, it's windy. Windsock, windsock. Who wants to pay $100 extra for a windsock?
Is that how much they are?
Because that's what it costs to get stuff down here in Ecuador. There's not a whole lot of computer stores in Salinas. There are some in Cuenca, way more in Cuenca than Salinas. I would think myself very fortunate, I would say, if I found a windsock here. I don't expect to. Maybe we'll research making our own windsock, I don't know. Let's see, what's on our mind today? There's a difference between being frugal with diligence, meaning with wisdom, and being frugal just to be cheap. Like if you haven't been putting any effort to being more diligent about your expenses back home, I always say moving to a place, a developing country, isn't going to make you frugal or diligent. Instead, you're going to be caught up in that group that pays spiraling prices and wonders why in the world you ever moved down here. You know that's why half of them move back, don't you? Yeah. You know, this is the first day the sun has come out in like, what, a week? Well, it's off season.
It's perfect weather. Absolutely perfect. Yes, I'm going to say perfect.
Quite a few people out here though for a Monday.
I noticed that.
It seems like there's more and more people down here now.
It's either a holiday or people are moving from the North Coast down here.
Less people visiting the North Coast perhaps, because they appear to be Ecuadorians. So the exercise for you today is just think of one way that you could be more frugal, but not cheap. Like when your faucet starts leaking, right? Don't buy the cheapest replacement. Buy the next one up. If the cheapest is $35, don't buy that one. Buy the $40 one or the $45 one. You'll notice that it'll last a lot longer. You put the cheapest one on there and within a few months you need to replace it again. Incidentally, a lot of the stuff in the stores here is like that. There seems to be no middle ground in these places where 90% of the stuff they sell, you think you don't like. Well, listen. The most hilarious thing I see is holier than thou gringos thumbing their nose in a self-righteous way at the quote-unquote Walmart crowd, and then they go down to these stores and you get stuff that's worse than Walmart. The stuff here is worse than Walmart. 90% of the stuff here is worse than Dusty. There's a couple things on my mind today. Wouldn't you know it, I turned the camera on, I forget. Like a mental notepad is what you need. Like you say, oh, you're thinking something, it's like click, save that. Even though it's sunny, the air still has a little bit of a slight chill to it. You feel it?
Yeah, but it's perfect weather.
It's perfect for walking. So here's one of the thoughts that cropped into my head this morning. Some would have you believe that the smart thing to do, or the thing to do, is to spend all your time working and piling up wealth so that you can come down to a developing country and pay higher prices. So you can come down to a developing country and pay North American prices. Does that make sense? That makes no sense to me. See, there's a lot of cultural ways of thinking that are normally accepted, but that when they are dissected, they don't hold water, like that one. Now, I always have to back up a little and say, now hold on, I want to make sure I'm clear about what I'm not saying, because sometimes you say things and they sound like you're saying something you're not saying. I'm not saying there's anything wrong about having wealth or creating wealth. But those of us that have been called to a special, how do I say this with it? I just gotta say it, you know.
Just say it, huh?
Some of us have been given diligence in matters, certain matters. And the diligence in this matter is this. Some of us understand the piling up of riches in heaven. Yes, the piling up of riches in heaven. There's plenty of biblical characters that all had plenty of wealth. But their main aim in life was not piling up the wealth. The wealth was simply a byproduct of their freedom. And their freedom was a byproduct, I should say liberty. Their liberty was a byproduct of their belief in the God of creation. Absolutely, yes. It all ties in with moving abroad. It all ties in with everything. So when you consider that some would have you believe that the earth and the universe is hundreds of millions, who knows how many billions and millions of years old, well, if that was the case, that would dwarf even further your existence. If that was the case, your existence would be dwarfed to the insignificant ridiculous. And therefore, spending all your time piling up wealth. Now, let's be clear of what I just said.
You gotta go up right here.
Spending all of your time. That's what I'm talking about. Spending all of your time piling up wealth. You know, there is something that these foreign cultures inherently understand. They just understand it because they're living it. The French call it joie de vivre, the joy of life, the enjoyment of life on a daily basis, not the enjoyment of a dream of life, something you don't really hold in your hand, but is in your head that's going to happen at some future date. None of the biblical patriarchs did that. Well, first, their foundation was on the belief, and after the belief came the manifestation of that belief, which was liberty and prosperity. Instead, American culture puts prosperity first, and therefore they lose everything else. We have a box on our other website that talks about priorities in life. This conversation stems from that. Well, a lot of people did make the move. They did make the move, and they decided it wasn't for them. So not everybody's in that camp. Some people are able to make the move and decided it wasn't for them. And let's face it, if you're not predisposed to elasticating your mind and learning a bunch of new things, well, it's a lot of work. You gotta really want something, right? Well, can I go one video without saying that the Live Abroad magazines make you believe or are fast pursuing the idea, persuading you to understand that all you gotta do is pack your bags and move, and gee whiz, you don't gotta learn anything. Yeah, there's places like that, but guess what? You better feel comfortable competing with Californians.
Yeah, you better bring your money with you.
You better bring your, not your thin wallet, your fat one. There's places like that. It seems to me like moving abroad, you either have the cash or you put in some sweat equity, which is what we're doing. That's what I call sweat equity. Learning all the little ins and outs,